Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Um, I'm so proud of my dad, TB Joshua. Dear Daddy, it's hard to put in words how remarkable a person you are. I had the good fortune of having you as a father who sowed the seed of imperishable values of hard work, discipline, generosity, and a host of other virtues too numerous to recount. I remember the countless times you called me in boarding school, asking me about my favorite subjects, how my exams went, and for some reasons, asking me to predict what I think I got in every test. I truly appreciated that you took your time out of your busy schedule to call me. It was not just a responsibility for you, but you truly, truly cared about my education and you really loved listening to me talk about school. I would not be what I am today if not for your encouragement, your support, and your formidable dedication. You emptied yourself for your family and served humanity. Practically everything I know about the love of God, I learned from you. From a tender age, I was excited and eager to hold the microphone for my dad every Sunday service. And after every Sunday service, he kept on asking me, "How is the service today?" And he told me that the work of God is so beautiful to do. This became really part of my growing up experiences with him. I also remembered when he took me to his altar and he told me, both of us, to kneel down on the floor, and we prayed for 45 minutes on the floor. My legs were hurting. He later told me that the flesh is weak, but the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. Indeed, you lived a prayerful life. A prayerful life is one of sacrifice, and you truly lived that life to their last moments on earth. I am in awe of your love and fear of God. And I really truly understood that at a very young age, my dad would give his time, his dedication for this work. I would truly miss your conversations with me on a daily basis about life and moral. Daddy, as it was typical with you, your conversation always retained a sense of humor and mystery. If anyone lived a fulfilling and yet deliberately enigmatic life, it was you. I will truly, I will truly miss your wisdom, your knowledge, your mystery, and your humor. You have lived a life of unwavering commitment to passion and service. I have no reservation to say that my dad had the biggest heart that I know of, and he was a true humanitarian to this generation. What a feat you have left for all of us to live up to. I'm so surprised to hear about all the condolence messages from people around the world concerning your compassion. Even some people I've never met in my life, they all testify to your compassion and your humility. What a life you lived, such a legend and an exemplary light. I believe that by God's grace and your peculiar sense of time, that while we were not ready, you were fully prepared for the call home. Rest in peace, Daddy. Your loving daughter, Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Promise Joshua, and here is my tribute to my dad. As devastated as I was upon hearing about the news of my dad's passing, I can't say that I was completely unprepared for that day. Growing up as a biological daughter to a man like Prophet TB Joshua, my dad raised me to understand that he was on a mission in this world. For him, life on earth was spiritual warfare, not a place to get too comfortable like it was home. He essentially lived each day like it was his last, with most of his time spent at his prayer mountain, utterly focused on executing an assignment that only him seemed to be in the know of what the instructions were. Since I became more socially aware and more inquisitive about my dad's life, I realized that the implication of such a lifestyle was that once he was done accomplishing what he was sent for, he will be called back home to the one who sent him. I must say that my dad did an excellent job at preparing me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically for a moment like this. I remember the conversations we had, particularly last year, when I spent over a year with him at his prayer mountain, right before he eventually released me to pursue my master's. He said to me, "Before I release you, you have to spend nothing less than 6 months with me. Then you can go and do whatever you want to do." I ended up spending over a year with him. I saw him almost every day of that year. He'll tell me about how I needed to strengthen my relationship with God, carried me along at least 3 out of the countless times that he dedicated to prayer in a day. Most mornings, he would wake me up, would do our morning exercise routine, and we would have conversations about the most random topics. There was no aspect of my life that he didn't try to leave a positive footmark on in that year. By the time he was done with me and ready to release me back into the world, there was this sense of fulfillment that I observed in both of us. In retrospect, the memory of this moment is a place where I find solace now that he has passed on. I remember our trips to Arigidi Akoko, Ondo State. He made sure that I was present when he was visiting the old people in town. He would ask me to kneel with him as we kindly asked the elders to accept our gifts. They would pray for us. He would look at me and say, "This is the good life." I remember our trips from his new site to his old site. I would fall asleep in the car, and he would always make a point to wake me up to ensure that I was observing my environment, to see the reality of life for thousands of Nigerians. He'll tell me never to think that I was more deserving of the life that I had as a result of the grace of God in his life than the people that were on the street. For me, this was an important lesson that shaped my perspective and daily interactions. Lastly, Daddy, I want to say thank you for being such an exceptional role model. Your life is a living testimony of how God can raise a young boy from an underprivileged background with so much passion and zeal for God's work and use him in extraordinary ways. It is also a testimony of the extent to which one person's life can make such a massive positive impact in the world, with the thousands of lives that bear witness to the positive mark that you've made in their lives and in this world. I'm so proud to be your daughter, Daddy. Till we meet again in heaven, Dad. From Pom Pom, as he usually calls me, your twin.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hart. I'm Prophet TB Joshua's daughter, and I would like to start by thanking everyone for coming out and celebrating my father's beautiful life. On that dreadful day, the 5th June 2021, my father, Prophet TB Joshua, departed this world to join his Father in heaven, and it hasn't been the same for me again. I don't have many words to express how much I love and miss him, me, Daddy's girl. From a tender age, he showed me that his love for me was immeasurable, and I will forever love him for that. In the world where men were seeking fame, my father had a dedicated group of men, women, boys, and girls who loved the very ground which he walked on. He was clean in heart, in body, and mind, and I shall never forget the special smile, caring heart, and forever warm embrace. Knowing that I had someone who I could call on anytime and pour out my all to was one of the greatest parts about having a mighty man as a father. My father was an extraordinary person. He was not only the best role model, but he volunteered in his free time. He wasn't okay with only being a wonderful father, but he gave back to the world and helped those who were in need. As we may all know, my father's notable feature was his charisma. He could lift any room he walked in with just his presence and a smile. And not only did he apply this in his work as a televangelist and philanthropist, but in his daily life as a father. My father always had a smile on his face regardless of any situation and would never let anything trouble him. He was a jovial man, full of fun and laughter. He played uncountable jokes with me and my sisters, and sadly is leaving a hole in our hearts, which no one can fill. One of my favorite memories with my dad was the time where he got me my first bike. I was elated and bouncing with joy. I had been pressuring him countless times for a bike, but he pushed me aside, so I guessed he didn't want to get it from me. I tried my best to make him aware of the fact that I was angry by making odd faces in front of him. He was provoked by the fact that I was provoked by the fact that he would hug me irrespective of the tantrums I threw and still show me all the love and attention he did. So on the day I saw the big, beautiful purple bike in front of the car which had just dropped it, I ran directly to his room and gave him a big hug, showering him with thanks. I cherish every moment I had with my father, and I know he's smiling down at us right now. I am saddened that death took him away from us, but God said, in all things, we should give him thanks. His death has left a scar in our hearts, but his legacy will stand in our lives. I feel so grateful to have had as much time as I had with him, and I will always remember having the most ambitious and remarkable father. My father was the most important person in my life, and I feel heartbroken to no longer have my father and spiritual figure with us. His memory will not only carry on in my heart, but in the hearts of everyone lucky enough to have known a delightful and astonishing man like Prophet TB Joshua. I am confident that we will meet at the feet of Jesus on the resurrection morning.